Hey gang, I have got a video I have been meaning to do for a while, and I don't just mean like I've been meaning to make a video for a while because it's been a while since I did a video, although yes, that's mainly sort of really due to just the fact that, you know, it's been summertime and you kind of have to turn off the air conditioning to get good sound, and, you know, nobody wants to do that. But no, that's not what I'm talking about. I've been meaning to make this video since, like, I started making videos, or even just a blog about them since I started blogging. So, like, over 10 years ago, this has been on my list. And every time I do, like, another record, you know, like a list of, like, oh, I'm going to talk about this one or maybe this record, it just kind of keeps getting knocked down to talk about something else. So, 2018, near the end of 2018, I'm finally getting to Fascinating Force. And you might be, the first thing you're probably asking is, who is Fascinating Force? Because they're not a particularly big known group, although they're also not totally obscure. They were on Select Records in the late 80s. Their first single, bam, right here, Stupid / We Are the Ones. It's one of those singles, and they did this on all their records where side 1 and side A, haha, isn't that cute? So, you know, they're both the A side or side 1. But probably Stupid is the better known song, so we can consider that the actual A-side. Now that came out in 1988, but I first discovered Fascinating Force in a film. Boom, right here. Whore by Ken Russell, pretty famous film. If you're thinking I can barely read that title, that's intentional because they didn't want to have the word whore really obvious on like Blockbuster video shelves and stuff like that, so it's like super dark red on black. But, so if you might remember that film, Ken Russell, of course, is a famous filmmaker, so just by virtue of being one of his films. But it came out sort of right after Pretty Woman, and Pretty Woman, of course, was the one where Julia Roberts was, you know, very sort of romantic comedy with Richard Gere, where she's a prostitute who, you know, falls in love with a gazillionaire or something, and it's a very lighthearted, sweet comedy. And so this kind of came out as like the antithesis to that, starring Teresa Russell, no connection to Ken Russell, and it's sort of based on a one-woman show, and it's a very brutally honest, you know, life on the street, down and dirty, gritty, this is the life of a prostitute, kids, you don't want to go there kind of movie. So it's a good film. I'm a fan of Ken Russell, although it's a little bit different for Ken Russell, although then again, lots of Ken Russell films are a little bit different for Ken Russell. But within that film, they use a song quite heavily, and you notice it right away. It's a very catchy reggae song. And when you hear it in the film, it just sounds like it's 100% strictly reggae. We're going to find out later, Fascinating Force is sort of a, you know, a reggae hip-hop connection kind of song. But the parts they use, it's all the reggae stuff, so you don't know there's any other aspect to it. And it sounds like it's called I Want to Bang Her, because they use that phrase over and over again. It's a very kind of catchy, upbeat song. Again, it's reggae, classic reggae instrumentation. It's really catchy. I'll play a clip of it as is used in the movie, although it's actually used more than once in the movie. And again, like Fascinating Force, they were nobodies. I didn't know if they even existed or if it was just sort of like a group that kind of made this one song for the movie or what, but it was super catchy. Like, you could, you know, take or leave the movie, whatever you felt about it, but like months later, you would be humming that tune. You know, like that would just, a real earworm kind of song.
Man, every time we go to them clubs, man, me go to Bentley's, me go to Payday, me go to Silver Shadow, me go all around, man. Me see them girl with the big bum bum, man. Me look at them and me only want to do one thing, man. Me just want to bang her. That's all me want to do. I just want to bang her. I want to bang her, I want to bang her. I want to bang her, I want to bang her. Follow me now. I want to bang her, I want to bang her. I want to bang her, I want to bang her. See a dumb girl and she got a big bang. All me want to do is just bang, bang, bang. We standing all alone and no one is near. Me want to jump up and put it in her ear. Them girls, she wide with the big bump flaunting. She looking at me, she know that me want it. She tried to run away, warn her nieces and aunties. It's much too late, me already got the panties. So come back, and take the medicine. Me got the long body, come on and let us in. Jump on mattress, knock the booties dead. Me place pon pillow so you won't bang your head. Me kiss, me lick, me taste, me lust. Me get real horny and thrust. It lasts a long time, I'm tired. Thank you. I'm all dry now cause I just want to bang her. I want to bang her, I want to bang her. I want to bang her, I want to bang her. I want to bang her, I want to bang her. I want to bang her, I want to bang her. Bang bang, bang bang, put it bang 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 bang, put it bang bang bang, put it bang 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 bang, put it 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 bang bang bang, Bronx bang bang, Queen bang bang.
And so that's what got me on the hunt for sort of who is Fascinating Force. And then, you know, I kind of looked into them. And again, they're on Select Records, so they weren't hard to find. And their first single was Stupid. So Stupid's a pretty cool song. It's not as good as their later stuff, but it's pretty good. It's got some really cool percussion on there. One thing that's interesting about it is how they change up the concept of the song. Like for part of it, it's sort of like kind of like Run DMC's You Be Illin', where it's just sort of like various ways that somebody can be stupid. It's kind of a silly, you know, almost novelty song. Certainly humorous, if not novelty. But then other verses more just about getting stupid, like being fresh on the mic and all. And so like the concept just kind of comes and goes and changes throughout the song. So that's kind of interesting. Again, the percussion's pretty dope. Some pretty solid rapping. A little bit, you know, even for 1988, this probably sounded kind of old school. Like, you know, this was not exactly cutting edge, you know, like what was Rakim doing or the Juice Crew or Ultramagnetic MCs, you know. And that's probably why it didn't blow up quite as large. These were definitely talented guys making a good record. But, you know, even for 1988, they sounded a little 1986.
FF is Fascinating Force. We make more love than Cupid. You heard other crews' beats, but they were just too big. And if you munch another beat like this, we'll only tell them you big. So everybody get up. It's time to get stupid.
But here's a good point to stop and just talk about who the Fascinating Force even are. In some ways, it's three guys. Certainly it's three rappers, and they're the guys who, you know, whenever you see sort of pictures of them or something like that, it's kind of the main three guys. So Dr. J, Easy T, and Peter Gunn. And then they had a couple DJs. Like they had DJ Mighty Nero and Ill Will. I don't believe that Ill Will. But then, like, if you look at the credits here, they also credit a guy named Kid Debonair. Now, I know some of these guys change their names, so maybe Kid Debonair, like, is Mighty Nero. I'm not sure about that. But I also know the lineup changed a couple times because, basically, this was their first record. Again, 1988. I've said 100 times now. But they had been around for a while. They were basically a crew from the Bronx, even before they were like recording artists. And they're Mr. Wiggles' crew. Of course, Mr. Wiggles, you should know from the Rocksteady crew, the original Rocksteady crew. Although, technically, he's not one of the original members. Crazy Legs started the group with a couple other guys. And that's the, you know, Rocksteady crew that blew up. Then they started bringing in new members, and of course Rocksteady crew started putting out records, and that had a slightly different lineup, although Crazy Legs was still one of them. And then Mr. Wiggles was not part of that, so he's not on the Rocksteady crew records. And of course, Rocksteady crew over the years has blown up to include all kinds of people, like the Arsonists are in it, you know, people from Japan and Australia are considered official members of the Rocksteady crew, so it's kind of become a big thing, because they're one of the real founding, pure, original hip-hop breakdance crews ever. Like, them and the New York City Breakers are sort of like the big two. So Mr. Wiggles is one of them. He always stood out to me just because, I mean, I'm sure he did some kind of more gymnastic kind of stuff. But while most of the breakers, you know, were doing the really far-out kind of stuff, he was doing much more sort of like the robot and popping and locking and much more about style. So everywhere else is doing like windmills and backflips, and then he would not, you know. So he kind of stood out for that. But anyway, so he was part of the Fascinating Force, but he's not on these records either, except technically on the B-side to Stupid, We Are the Ones, which I'll get to more in a minute. But this is a promo single. You can tell with the black and white labels, plus I guess it says promo only, so pretty obvious, a promo single. The commercial single, which is the same track listing and everything in the same sleeve, but it's a full color label, has some additional credits, and there it says that Mr. Wiggles actually did the drum machine for We Are the One. So he was musically involved. He left the crew right around this time, so it's probably kind of, you know, he did the drum machines and then he was out because he's not on the later stuff. But so it was his crew, and he's probably the most famous guy of it. Although Dr. J, again, one of the three rappers of the Fascinating Force, changed his name to Big Dory, and he's sort of known as a sort of, maybe not quite a Wu affiliate, but he did some production for some members of the Wu-Tang Clan. Like, I think he did an ODB song and something with Kill Army. So that's what he did after this. So that's the crew. Again, always changing. You had members who were just part of the crew, you know, probably before they were signed Select Records lists, like breakdancers and graffiti writers and stuff like that. And so you can kind of get the sense of sort of like a family, you know, not necessarily a biological family, but a family, a crew that, you know, when they kind of got signed, they had to sort of narrow it down to who were the members, and I think it shifted a little bit here and there. But so you had those three rappers, you had those 2 to 3 DJs, Mr. Wiggles, who just kind of pushed his way out. Also, they had a producer named Vin Tees. As far as I know, all he did was Fascinating Force stuff, so I assume he's at least a semi-official member. He did all their records, but nothing else. And anyway, so let's talk about the B-side, We Are the Ones. What's interesting about the B-side is it's a reggae song, which of course ties into what we heard on Horde and what we're getting to a little bit later. Again, it's sort of a reggae hip-hop song, not just a pure classical reggae, but definitely like a reggae song as opposed to like American pure hip-hop style. And it's pretty good, but it's definitely, to me, the weakest of the Fascinating Force songs. I'll let you hear it. But as far as their forays into hip-hop, I definitely prefer what we're getting to later. But it does set a tone that it seems like on all their 12-inch singles, they had like a reggae song and a hip-hop song, which also sort of ties into maybe their kind of side 1, side A shtick. So sort of like, you know, if you're a hip-hop fan, this is side 1. If you're a reggae fan, this is side 1 or side A. I assume maybe that's kind of what they're going for. Doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, their careers are a little bit too short-lived, so they get to put out that much stuff. We're also getting into all that. Okay, stupid, cool, fun song, We Are the Ones, cool little B-side, good single, but a little bit old school for them. Definitely they found their footing right here with Doing the Bang. Got a nice picture cover now, still on Select Records. Here we got a picture of a crew. There's 5 guys. I definitely can't necessarily identify all of them, but 3 MCs, 2 JJs, so I'm assuming it's the main 3, and then Ill Will and Mighty Nero, possibly / Kid Debonair, if they're not the same person. So there's a couple versions of Doing the Bang on here. Doing the Bang is a song from Horde, except, as you can kind of guess, it sounded like the hook, like I said, would have been on Want to Banger. On the main version on the single, the hook is just doing the bang. We're doing the bang, doing the bang. And it's sort of like the way like Pop That Pussy became Pop That Coochie. You know, a lot of songs get kind of radio-friendlyized. So that's what they did here. And it definitely does not sound as good. Just pure, like sonically, it doesn't sound as good. I'm not mad necessarily about changing the context because it's basically the same meaning. It just doesn't quite sound as good. Fortunately, the unedited full-length version is also on here on one of the B-sides. So that's here. You can skip the A-side.
I just want to bang.
Doing the bang, doing the bang, not doing the bang, doing the bang. Follow me now. Doing the bang, doing the bang, not doing the bang, doing the bang.
Welcome, welcome, hear the bells clang. Come and see the brand new dance called Bang. I just want to bang.
I want a banger, I want a banger, not I want a banger, I want a banger. Follow me now. I want a got your big thing. All they want to do is just bang, bang, bang.
And once you get into it, you find out, okay, it's definitely, I would say, primarily a reggae song or a rock and hip hop song, but there are straight up like rap verses in here, and they're sort of done in hip hop style at first, but by the time you get to Dr. J's verse, which is like the third verse, I think, he's not even trying. There's no reggae style to it at all. He's just straight pure American rapping on it.
Sitting in my room, cold playing Nintendo. Killed them other brains and looked out my window. I couldn't believe what my eyes were seeing. A perfectly shaped female human being. Threw on my valleys as I stared and prayed. Don't leave, grabbed my jacket, ran fast because I couldn't believe a fish in a tank by herself so live. I had my scuba gear, so I was ready for a dive. I was about to say hi when she said, "Aren't you Dr. J?" Oh yeah, that's what the fellas call me. Anyway, she said, "I just moved to town, and can you help with the furniture?" I said, let's take a look-see. Up to the crib, ready to do her business. I asked, "What do you want, boo?" She said, "What, are you kidding?" The bed of course, with me, you thumping. So get with it, put it in, and start pumping. I want to bang up, I want to bang up.
And it's just great. It's everything. It just works. It's certainly silly. It's not necessarily a mess. I mean, you know, the picture cover kind of suggests all you need to know about it in a way. And the title of the song, like conceptually, it's definitely a very simplistic, you know, pure boneheaded kind of song. But it's just so catchy. It's so fun. Again, the verses, like, you know, we're not talking about amazing lyricists here, but it all just comes together. It's just one of those songs you want to listen to over and over again. And I kind of love it. But then the real surprise may be after that, because again, I knew that song. I was looking for that song. I got a banger. And believe me, getting that alone made me super happy. I could be done. But the B-side, Doing Our Thing, which sounds like, oh, Doing the Bang, Doing Our Thing, is this just like another slight variation / retitling? No, it's a completely different song, and it's incredible. It's fantastic. It's better than Doing the Bang, because Doing the Bang is great in a kitschy way. You know, it's campy, it's fun. Doing the Bang is just a great pure hip hop song. It's a perfect sample. It's it's definitely upbeat and it's kind of a party dance rap, but not, you know, like, you know, God forbid, like Two Hype Brothers and a Dog, or, you know, not like what you think of often when you think of dance rap. It's just one of those perfect lighthearted tones with a really funky sample, great loop. It's sort of like, I think of records like, you know, Kwame's The Rhythm, and you sort of think like, you know, Kwame did a lot of songs and a lot of it you could kind of skip on. But like the rhythm just catches. And that's what this song does. It's just like that. A little bit sort of like, I don't know, like Me, Myself, and I or Buddy by De La Soul, that kind of groove in a way. Where again, you know, some of early De La Soul, you can say, oh, that's a little too out there, a little too fruity or whatever. You know, but when they're nailing it, they're nailing it. And this is the one where they're just nailing it. It just sounds so great. Again, you could listen to it over and over and over again. And this, no hip-hop, pure, or no reggae, sorry, pure hip-hop straight through. And just a great song.
Your money, we won't be crooking you. And when we're finished, we'll just sing. Get up, y'all, and do your thing. Do your thing. Do your thing. Do your thing. Come on in and do your thing. Look up, look around, look over your shoulder, bust out leave. Who can hold you? Or even stop you? You want a shing-a-ling? Get up, y'all, and do your thing.
And basically, it's those two songs. There's a song on here on the Wild side, but that's less than a minute long and it's purely instrumental. It's a really nice breakbeat. It's a good sample, but they don't do anything with it. It's just like, again, it's purely instrumental. So, you know, kind of cool to have, but it would have been nice if they actually made a song of it. Then it would have been great. So these are their only two real singles, and they don't have an album out, which is really unfortunate. I think that's why they're not so well known. Again, by the way, this one came out in 1989, the year after, 88. And that's where they really found their sound, I think. And I think if they had put out an album then, like after that, I think it would have been killer. And sure, I get it. You Select Records, like these guys aren't going to be big celebrities. You know, if you're trying to put your budget between Kid and Play and Fascinating Force, like Fascinating Force is not going to make you the money. So I understand why they dumped them, but at the same time, because they're so good, I just wish artistically they had, gotten back for an album, because if that album had come out, they would have been much better known. Again, not usually better known. Your grandmother might never have heard of them, but hip-hop heads all would know of them. They would have had a solid album, because Select Records would have been out in the stores. Some more dope songs on there. Maybe some interesting collaborations or something, because again, the group has some roots, with the Bronx and Mr. Wiggles and Rock City Crew, so they might have brought in some interesting people. And as we're going to see, they had one or two connections. But unfortunately, that's basically it. They didn't have any more singles. They didn't have an album. But, digging deeper, they did do one other thing. On the soundtrack here, Talking Dirty After Dark. Do you remember Talking Dirty After Dark? Don't feel bad if you don't. It's a Martin Lawrence comedy, but it's definitely not a very ambitious one. It's kind of aiming low. It's not that bad, though. I mean, it works basically because it kind of doesn't, aim too high. It doesn't put itself into any danger or, risk of failure, really. It plays it very safe and easy. He plays a comedian at a nightclub, so, some of the comedy is almost like his act. Johnny Witherspoon, though, is a manager, so, he's always great. So it's not like a great movie, but it's a lighthearted, amusing movie. And anyway, it had the soundtrack. The title song is kind of a cool R&B song. And it's on Select Records. And it's all Select Records recording artists. And basically, if it's about half hip-hop and half R&B. So if we throw away the R&B, although, again, the R&B title song is kind of cool, but if we throw that out and we just focus on the hip-hop, most of this is just stuff from people's albums. Like, there's a Kid and Play song, but it's from their album. This ain't gonna hurt nobody. So, I mean, boom. There's a Chubb Rock song, there's an AMG song. They're right from their albums. Fascinating Force, if they had an album, if Select Records ever gave it to them, maybe this song would have been on their album too. But unfortunately, it's not, so exclusive to this. There's also two other exclusive hip-hop songs on here. One is by a female rapper named Nefertiti, not Nefertiti, Nefatini. That's actually pretty dope. That was released as a 12-inch single, and that's actually kind of worth checking out. And then there's another song by The Mighty Race of Kings, which is a good-sounding name, but the song's pretty meh. That was also released as a 12-inch single, but you can forget about that one. Again, Nefertiti, kind of cool. Maybe don't bother with the 12-inch single. If you're getting this anyway for the Fascinating Force stuff, you can consider it a bonus. But so their song on here is called Uptown Thing, and it's another great song. And when I mentioned they also had other connections, okay, the hook on here is sung by Whistle. Now, whether that's necessarily one of their connections or it's just a Select Records thing, because of course Whistle were signed to Select Records, I don't know. Doesn't matter. They sound great together. But Whistle does not rap. I mean, sometimes Whistle raps. They were, if you know Whistle, you should know this already, but quick rundown. They were sort of a hip-hop group that sang a lot, and then as it got more popular and music got a little bit more mainstream, they basically put aside the rap and went all R&B. It didn't help that their lineup changed also. Some members came and left. I mean, by the time Cool Doobie left, I guess you could say hip-hop was out of the group. And they brought in other guys who only sang and didn't rap. But they were, in the beginning, their first two albums are great hip-hop R&B combos. And even their R&B stuff later on, like I really love their New Jack Swing song, Got a Bad Habit and all, but that's off on a tangent. Anyway, so they sing on here. They sound really good. They're just singing the chorus. They're not rapping. And it's great. Another great sample. Great production. Fascinating Force as MCs sound great. Again, they're not necessarily the best lyricists. There's nothing like you're really impressed with what they're writing. But their deliveries are great. Their voices are great. They sound, they really match with the production. There's a pretty polished act for these guys who just kind of basically came out of nowhere in 1988. And by 1989, they're done because this is also 1989. They don't sound like, kind of amateurs finding their footing. They really sound like they know what they're doing. So again, it's a shame they didn't get to do more. But again, so this is just another great song. I'm going to play clips of all this stuff. But these two, I say, are really pretty essential if you're interested in Fascinating Force, and you should be. Even if you've never heard about them until now, check them out. You're going to like them. And then this one, pretty good. This is a little bit more of their prototype. But good. Stupid is definitely worth having if you find it cheap. It's a good little record. But these two are great. And these are the ones that really make me wish, man, you hear these, there should have been an album. They just should have been. It would have been great. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if it's recorded And maybe it's one of these things that a label could dig up and get out there, you know, like DWG, Dope Folks, etc., etc., etc. This would be an awesome one to do. And if not, just enjoy doing a bang.